Hey, hey. I am having trouble holding all my gear. I just took the photo for the kind of the thumbnail and I had to hold everything up at once. And I've got one more item than usual. I'm going to be putting the Gillette Platinum today into my razor, 22 uses. The razor is a 17 millimeter vintage Gillette. This is the new Deluxe. We'll go into more about how it's a deluxe in a little while. As you can see, it's an open comb. The brush is a whip dog. This is a tall handle. I find it pretty ergonomic. For bowl lathers, though, it does bring the fingertips up near the front of the handle, and so they often get a little messy. So it's not the best, but I like it. As far as an inexpensive long handle goes, it's pretty good. This is the amber color, and so you can kind of see through it just a bit. And inside of it is a Whip Dog 22 millimeter Silvertip knot. I like their knots a lot. Chose that one because it's one of my smaller Badger knots. Because today I'm going to be using the Captain's Choice Lather Bowl. This is not the large version, this is a standard version. And I just anticipate that it's going to be a real loser today. No diss to the company or anything like that, but it is so small. Here is the 3 ounce tub of Soap Commander Drive leather and vetiver, as you can see. Soap Commander is a vegetarian or vegan type base. Now this one doesn't specify vegan, so that's interesting. I wonder if it says so somewhere else. I don't see any. Here's the ingredients list. So maybe some of you more knowledgeable than me can tell. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Can tell what the sorry. All right. And why do I think this bowl is just? I used extreme wording just now, and I did it because of this. This little lather bowl fits inside of my existing lather bowl easily with 1/2 inch all the way around. And I picked my smallest Badger brush because I just have a feeling that this would be fairly non-usable with anything but a tiny brush, or maybe at least for me. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now, I've seen other folks use these. They put some soap in the bottom, and then they use it like a loading bowl, almost like a tub of soap. You have more soap that you're going to use in the bottom of here, just like you do with a soap bowl, a soap tub, and then you don't load all of it. You are a face latherer, and you just use it to whip up enough for your shave. Then this goes away. Well, I wouldn't call that a lather bowl at all. That's a loading bowl. Just like, and it's basically doing the same job as a tub of soap. But let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot and laugh a little. And who knows, maybe the amount of lather that stays in the bowl will be enough to do the job. In which case, it works. I first encountered this soap, this scent from Soap Commander in a clearance sale they had on the balm, and I tried it and I thought, wow, I love this scent, it's amazing. Unfortunately, it was mentholated, and so I'll probably have to sell it. I don't think I have sold it yet, but the menthol just kills the enjoyment of it for me. It's just a little too strong for me, but the scent I loved so much. And so when this came available as part of a used purchase, I bought it, and I think I'm going to be glad to have it. It has been used before. All right, so the brush is soaking. It doesn't really need to, but it is. So this is the new Deluxe. It's got these awesome knurling pattern on the handle that like the Bostonian and several of the other vintage Gillettes do. How can you tell it's a new? Well, first of all, the new kind of has a head, a base plate shaped like this. Open comb, news are open comb. And but then you'll find out it's a new deluxe if you look at the base plate. It's flat right here. There's no speed bump. Normally there would be a bump going from the center post to the middle of the out. And so if it's flat, then you've got a new deluxe. That's more rare. And I love the way it shaves. At least I did last year when I used it, or maybe the year before last. It's been quite a while, which is another reason I picked this guy. 17 millimeter. They made two sizes, a 17 and a 15. At least those two sizes, maybe more, but maybe that's the only kind. And how you measure is from here to here. The innermost part of the slot cut for the teeth is where you measure from, and that is the, that'll tell you whether it's a 17 or a 15. All right, well, let's load up the blade. 22 uses, going strong. Gillette Platinum is a blade that is hit or miss for me. Either it's amazing or it's just so-so. That's my marathon one, so we'll see how long he'll go. This is a 3-piece razor in a different sense as usual. The knob comes disconnected from the top cap and post. And it does have a rail going down the middle to keep the blade aligned. And it does have these 4 posts in the corners to do the same. And so, and this one does have a serial number that can help you date it if you find a good dating reference. It is pretty common for some of these handle tubes to become split near one of the ends. I don't know if mine are a crack. I think mine looks like mine has a crack right there, but in general it shouldn't. It should be okay. They can live a very long life with those little cracks. All right, well, he's locked down. Where's my camera? That's kind of the way the blade exposure works, and it looks like it might even be a negative exposure, meaning that if you draw a line between where the top cap and the safety bar, in this case an open comb, where they touch each other, where they like if you were to lay something down on top of them, if the blade comes through that plane, then it's positive exposure, meaning it could possibly be more aggressive. If it is exactly at that plane, then it's a neutral exposure. If it's below that plane, it's a negative exposure. And that very much determines the aggressiveness of the razor. All right, I'll splash my face and we'll get to lathering up. A little bit more than a day's growth today. Came home from a trip last night and I just wasn't into jumping into the shave. .22 millimeter whip dog. I don't believe I mounted this guy very high because he can be floppy. In fact, that's why I put one O-ring right there, and it seems to put it at just the right place for me. Did I shake too much water out? I might have. Put a little bit more in there. Since this is, who knows how long this soap has been used, just leave a little bit of water in the brush. All right, a 30-second load starts in just a couple seconds, and that way it'll end on the 0 mark of the next minute. I've had very good results from Soap Commander in terms of their soap formulations. It's pretty much standard. I don't think they've had a new formulation in a while, and to me it's fine because it's a really good soap base, performs well even for being a vegan base. 5 more seconds. And there we go, 30 seconds of loading. And this is what Soap Commander looks like after that. Rinse off the threads here. Oh, what a good scent. I like it. All right, well, so as you can see, this is not an official Captain's Choice bowl. And while I work my lather up here, we can talk about that. This is a bowl from AliExpress, from DS Cosmetics. It is exactly the same dimensions as the actual Captain's Choice bowl, and so that's why I'm gonna call it a Captain's Choice bowl. 1.5 inches deep and 4.5 inches wide. All right, let's add in a teaspoon of water. And this is a 22 millimeter knot. Now, I do have to make smaller circles. I mean, would this give me carpal tunnel after a while? Maybe. As you can see, there's really not much room to maneuver here. So maybe if you have a super small bore brush, maybe that will, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of that during this shave, rescuing the lather off the side of the bowl. I mean, there's just nowhere for the lather to be inside the bowl because the brush just knocks it right out. So if you, but I think this bowl could be good for somebody who mixes up kind of an early paste and is basically a face latherer, but this just helps them kind of get started, activates the lather just a little bit before you go to your face and basically do a face lather, adding water. I mean, it immediately starts to spill out. So there is just, now I've also heard that if some people have super high backbone brushes, they don't splay very much. Some people don't even create lathers in the splay. And so maybe that kind of person, you know, it's going to work for. But this is just a super tiny bowl, super frustrating here. My lather's nowhere near wet enough, and I'm just spending all my time. It's like stir twice, and now you've got to go rescue your lather. So it's definitely not, I can't really see how a person can enjoy wet lathers and make up all their lather in the bowl with this kind of bowl. Put in another teaspoon, see what happens, just for grins. I mean, unless the only way you mix up your lathers is to pump the brush up and down, which is not the best thing to do for the whole time. To be honest, I'd rather palm lather. It would be faster. All that lather, the scent is great, but the lather just doesn't stay in the bowl. This is just a 22 millimeter Badger. That's just, and so it is increasing in volume, but it's such a pain and it's taken so long. Guys who use this bowl just must use it differently. They just must be mixing up concentrate, like I was saying. Basically face latherers is what this bowl lets you do, so I definitely don't think it's a lather bowl. but we are increasing, slowly increasing in lather. My larger bowls, even my one from the Dollar Tree, is so much better than this one. Those rings at the bottom aren't helping anything because the lather doesn't stay in there for long enough to make use of them. So yeah, that's, lesson learned. But here's the good thing. So this may not be the actual bowl of Captain's Choice, but it's the same dimensions. It's got the same rings at the bottom. So I think functionally we can say it'll behave the same way. Exact same dimensions. Now, so this one came from DS Cosmetics / China. So in matter of fact, this is getting really difficult to hold because all the lather on the outside, and this is a very smooth surface, makes it difficult to keep hold of when you've got the lather there. So I think that maybe these guys have duplicated the bowl from Captain's Choice rather than, I don't think Captain's Choice is buying them from China or buying them from some big company and then having their little emblem pressed into the button there. Because, I sure hope not, because their website says they contacted a local artisan, and so therefore each bowl might look slightly different. I sure hope they're not pulling a thing over on somebody. My guess is that they wouldn't do that. And so this looks like maybe it's been a duplicate. It's been duplicated in China. And so I got this on either the 11/11 sale or the Black Friday sale from AliExpress. And while I'm definitely not going to pay $30 for this bowl at West Coast Shaving, I'm definitely not going to pay $30 for something that doesn't work for me. It was just like $5 or $4 or something like that on that sale. So I thought, what a great way to try it out, bring it to you guys as viewers and show you now this is the normal size. This is the regular size bowl. The large bowl is larger, but I don't think it's large enough because it's just maybe another ½ an inch or 3/4 of an inch, and the sides just still aren't very high. If the sides were higher, then maybe you'd be able to keep that lather in. Now, in their write-up, they say they keep the sides low so that you don't get that clinking of the handle as you're mixing. Well, I'd rather have a clinking handle and lather that stays in the bowl personally. So, yep, complete and utter failure as a lather bowl. If you want to use it as a loading bowl, that's a whole different story. You're not trying to make lather in there. You're just trying to get some soap on your brush, and I could see it potentially working that way. So look at all this waste and mess, and this thing could easily slip out of my hand if I'm not careful. So I'm going to do some cleanup of the bowl, try to rake some of this lather back in so I can use it if needed, and I'll be right back with you. All right, I went ahead and wet my face as well. I raked as much of the lather around the sides here as I could, put it in the bowl, and then rinsed everything off so it wouldn't be as dangerously slippery. So I definitely consider it a loading bowl, and I will say that it's a failure but only for the purpose that I use it for. It could be other people use it for something different. If I was stuck using this bowl as my only means of work, what I would do is make a palm lather and then just use this as the holder. I would rake the palm lather into the bowl while I shaved. And so in that sense, any bowl ever, Dollar Tree, would be just as good as a $30 bowl. And so I would definitely not have this for that price. All right, so face is wet. Let's just go ahead. This lather, I'm sure, is too dry, but that's kind of what I was stuck with this lather bowl. Definitely wasn't going to spend another 10 minutes raining in lather from the overflowing bowl. And the funny thing is, there are people online who just jump to the defense of this bowl like it's awesome. And I guess those are just people who stop pretty soon in the lather building process. And they don't have really wet lathers. They're not slick. They're pretty dry. Because I'm having to add water here. A lot of synthetics have a lot of backbone, and so they don't splay very much. And so maybe they would have more room in the bowl to move around. The scent on here is very nice. So basically we've switched to face lathering at this point, and we're starting to get the lather to a point where it's nice. So all that wasted time moving lather around in the bowl could have been spent just face lathering. So maybe if I had this bowl, I would just be a face latherer. You know, this bowl only. Very thin on the face because, you know, I had to mix it up dry basically. Keep having to go back and get some more soap from the bowl, from the Captain's Choice bowl, and then combine that with some water from, and this is why I use a syringe, because it's awesome at adding water to the brush in quantities like a droplet, as well as adding a whole teaspoon to a lather bowl. It does both really well, and so that's why I use a syringe. And then I can also track how much water I use to shortcut me next time. Alright, let's see how this Gillette Platinum works. The balance point on this razor is pretty close to the head, because the handle is kind of on the hollow side. Fortunately, the knob piece, you know, has that shaft that extends up to connect to the top cap bolt right around here, so that adds some weight, but it does feel head heavy, which will probably go away when you're shaving, as long as you're kind of shaving from north to south. One of those where you can just let the weight of the razor do the work. But of course, people who say let the razor do the work, that can only be the weight of the razor. That can only be helpful when you're doing your cheeks, because now you have to do all the work when you are on the underside of your chin. This is not a slick lather, it's too dry. It's going to work, but this is not an enjoyable lather. It's a functional one only, and it's not worthy of Soap Commander's excellent formulation. They did have some issues, maybe last year, where they had to the husband and wife kind of had to split up and stuff. And so I believe the wife is the one who has the company now, and the husband was, they gave it to her, he gave it to her and all that, so no hard feelings or anything like that. So you're helping to support a mom and her multiple kids, and I know that they put some videos out and where the kids are helping with assembly and things like that, shipping or whatever. So that's pretty neat to help them out. Man, I think this is a wonderful scent. I'm a big fan. I wish it was a part of their regular rotation. Okay, well, let's just see what happens if I lather like this. I try to build my lather like this, all dainty, just kind of pushing it in from the outside, not really stirring very much. Let's see if I can make up a better lather. Of course, I look stupid because this isn't really a lather bowl, at least not for a brush of any size. Two tiny circles so that the soap has room along the edges to not flow over. I mean, if a little lather overflows, that's not a big deal. That's fine, but like all the lather was overflowing earlier. Good, we are starting to, what a headache. They came out with a copper bowl. I have a similar grievance with the fine accoutrements lather bowl. I love fine soaps a lot. They're hard soaps that last for a really long time. Great performance. I love this, most of the scents. But in a similar way, it's bigger than this, but it still doesn't hold the lather very well. I spend a lot of time reining the lather in, pulling it in from overflowing, instead of actually mixing. But that one I could see, because it's larger, it's wider, probably just as deep. It's wider, and so I could see a person who likes to make the tiny circles and who has maybe a synthetic brush. Maybe sometimes they lather only the tips. They don't splay when they work up their lather. And so then I could see it being a workable solution for that kind of shaver. This lather's wetter and much better. Well, I thought it would be worth a few dollars to bring you guys to show you this lather bowl. And some of you may even have one and really like it. And so I would love to hear how you use yours. You know, what function it plays. Do you, once you load up your lather in it, do you have to keep adding water to your face, meaning that you load up a concentrate in it? Do you use it just like a loading bowl? I'm curious. The Sterling collapsible silicone dog bowl that I used a while back, that has the nubs in it, kind of the same size, but it was deeper. And so the lather had somewhere else to go. So size really matters. All right, let's put on that third pass. That was a thin pass on that second one, but at least it was more hydrated. Than the first pass. Keep in mind, this is a 22 millimeter Badger Silvertip. Not going to get too much smaller in the Badger world. So maybe the Captain's Choice bowl is for synthetics folks or tiny bore folks. I do have some small bores. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But really, I welcome folks who want to get in and comment about how they make their lather bowl work for them if they have one of these guys. Because then as people find this video, we can have some people that represent the other side of the argument. This razor is just super smooth when I get the lather wet enough. Looks like it might be neutral exposure or maybe even negative because I don't really feel the blade. And it sure looks like I'm getting a good cut. it's not smooth feeling because it's not cutting, it looks like. Yeah, that platinum worked really well in this vintage Gillette, new. And usually when we write that out, we write new in all caps. Deluxe. 17 millimeters specifically. The other one I have, I don't think it fastens the base plate to the handle like this one does. The 15 that I have, I think it is more conventional, where the handle screws in like a traditional 3-piece that we, like an old type or something like that. Well, face feels great, super comfortable. I'm very happy with the closeness right here. I don't really see any length, 1 or 2 hairs. But I just didn't really want to keep on using this lather that was made by this bowl. So for me, fail. Doesn't fit my needs. Does it mean it's bad? Nope. Just mean it doesn't. It just means it doesn't fit my needs as a bowl to lather in, to create a lather that I'm going to use for more than one pass, or for the duration of the shave. If you want to create a concentrate, or you have a super small brush or something like that, then you know, maybe this lather bowl can do something for you. But I wouldn't buy this for $1 and use it, you know, and so to pay $30 for it, for my purposes, would be a total waste. So I'm glad I tried it out, but I would rather have room to actually create my lather so that I'm not chasing it around, and I can hydrate it properly. I was not able to hydrate this one right when I was creating it, and so there we go. So it's perfect for, I'm sure it's perfect for somebody. It's definitely great, and it looks nice. It looks to be of reasonable quality, and if you like to spread out your soap that you're going to be using all week, Cadenser, or that's his username on Reddit, but Michael Friedberg is a terrific shaver on YouTube. Look him up, watch some of his videos. I recommend him, and he uses it for loading. He will press a sample of soap or whatever he's going to use, and so then he works up his brush and gets some lather on there, enough to do some, you know, soap on his brush, and then he face lathers. So for this purpose, it works. But the thing is, those ridges aren't really helping all that much, because he has pressed the soap all around into the valleys and stuff, and so the ridges aren't helping to agitate very much at all. They're just helping to contain and hold the soap that he's pressed in, and maybe that's enough, you know. All right. Well, there we go. I was really curious. When I pulled out the bowl from the wrapping, it was so small. It just looks so small. So, but it does take really good pictures. See, it lets the brush stick partway out of the bowl, whereas, you know, my guy makes it get kind of lost. So it's a good picture bowl for set of the day pics and things like that. You can leave some lather in it, and it'll hold up. It'll look nice. So today I used 5 teaspoons. Nope, 3.5 3.5 teaspoons of water, but you know, who knows whether that's a good lather or not for this, because I wasn't able to do it consistently. I wasn't able to do it all at one point. We had concentrate in the first pass, and then a lot of water was added later and stuff. So due to this bowl, it just didn't allow me to get a good feel, a good recipe here for today's ratios. It reminds me, as I was cleaning up my brush, rinsing it out, one nice thing about the Captain's Choice bowl is it's so small that it rinses and cleans very quickly. So that's cool. The brush I used is here. I stropped it on a towel, so now it's all puffy and stuff. Again, a 22 millimeter Badger knot, and it's further restricted in loft by an O-ring there. And make sure that when you are testing out a brush, make sure that you get a good lather, because that wasn't a very good lather, and so it's a bad test for the softness and the feel and the backbone of the brush. So if you are evaluating a brush, just make sure you get a good lather several times, so you can get a good picture of how it really acts. Also, if you mix your lathers a little more on the dry side, where they are kind of creamier, then that can mask tips that aren't as soft. And so just keep a memory, keep that in mind as you're working and evaluating if you use dry lathers, then you could recommend a brush to somebody that has soft tips according to you. But if they have wetter lathers, more well-hydrated lathers, then they may not think the same softness thoughts about the brush that you have, because your lathers are that creamy consistency or creamier consistency masks the lack of softness potentially. So there's just a couple things to think about. Tiny details. So kind of a perceived warmth from the leather and vetiver made me think of Prix de Provence number 63, a nice warm scent, got some spices. So I'm going to get my face a little on the wet side to help the cream to spread around more easily. Yeah, I think that's a really good match to kind of carry on the theme of leather and vetiver, take it in a slightly different direction. Very enjoyable. I like it. All right, just to show you, got my ruler out. Interior diameter, a little less than 4 1/4, like 4 1/8. Exterior diameter, 4 1/2. Interior height, 1 1/2. Exterior height, about 2 inches, right? 1 7/8 inches in terms of that. So just to, and that's the exact measurements of the Captain's Choice bowl as well. All right, since this isn't as often seen razor on videos, let's do a little quick razor tour. I have kind of shown you all the pieces already, but just officially speaking in one shot, we will show you here. So we have these, the 4 posts at the corners, and then a rail in the middle. Rail gives structure and support to make sure that the top cap doesn't flex, because it is kind of thin, but mainly it acts as a blade alignment tool. So, and then we have the post that extends through the handle somewhat to connect with the knob arrangement that's inside the handle, which is right here. And all this is brass, looks like. Parts of it could be gold plated, but I'm not sure. I'll have to do, I think it's brass. So there's the really neat pattern. And then it is hollow. So no doubt we have a tube here that has this piece added in, pressed in, and probably the same on this end as well. And inside the razor, they connect like this. And so then this is the thin tube connecting to this top part here that is crimped and secured into the base plate. Get rid of a little bit of this water here. Brass. No doubt they added the speed bump right here just maybe for structural support. But I think I find this razor to be much more friendly, much more smooth than the other news, the normal news, because the regular news are available all over the place, and they are a mid-aggressive type razor. I'll probably find them a little easier to get along with now because my technique has improved, but in the beginning I found them a little too rough. All right, so So there's that cool knurling. And then we do have some patent stuff stamped into the base, just for the sake of completeness. Why don't I read that to you? Patent. January 13th, 1920, USA. Other patents pending. So no actual patent numbers. Here it says made in USA, and of course here is the Gillette diamond logo. And then you'll have your serial number, stamped right there. So no actual patent numbers on this guy. Just reassemble. And there's your razor tour of the new deluxe vintage Gillette. This is the 17 millimeter, again, determined by the width of the solid material between the open combs, not this measure from the end of the slot to the end of the slot. And there you go, wonderful little piece. I could, with a near baby butt smooth on the cheeks and a really nice close shave here, I could easily shave with this guy and enjoy its shaves for as my only razor. And just for comparison's sake, my regular lather bowl is almost 5.5 inches in interior diameter, and then 2.5 high interior height. All right, guys, so super impressed am I with the soap scent from Soap Commander, and I know the soap base, despite not having a good lather today, I know the soap base works really well and I enjoy it. High performance as well. Loved the razor. Boy, this is one I could definitely use more frequently and enjoy it. It was a great pairing with the Gillette Platinum blade. The brush is a fun one for me. The lather wasn't quite right, so the brush didn't feel as good as it usually does. It is a poofy, soft brush with not a lot of backbone. I'd say it's maybe a 4 or a 3 in terms of a 110 backbone. Definitely not mid-range. And I think we're good. Well, obviously the bowl was a disappointment, but I kind of expected it to be. It's just kind of so small. And again, that's just for my uses. Other people may have some good uses for it. And I'd love to not necessarily argue about whether it's a good bowl or a bad bowl. I'd love to have you comment, but tell me why. Tell me why you like it, how you use it, so that everybody can understand. Just a, you suck, it's a great bowl, is not helpful for a conversation, as we all learn. So there we go. Hope there was something here good for you. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care. Bye.